Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Monday Night Football Week 10 of the 2023 NFL season. And this was a game that on paper probably didn't have a whole lot of hype going into it. And while it was certainly an ugly football game, it was close score-wise, but that was more of just an indication of neither team really playing great football. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson completed 24 of 29 passes for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns, adding 30 yards on 9 carries, and Wilson was held to a career low 3.4 intended air yards per pass attempt, but managed to hold up the Bills to improve the Broncos to 4-5. Denver managed to hold the football for 37 minutes and 21 seconds on the back of 4 takeaways, doing enough to keep Josh Allen and the Bills off the field on their way to a game-winning field goal as time expired. It wasn't all pretty for the Broncos, however, missing 2 field goal or 2-point after attempts, and also a would-be game-winning field goal with 4 seconds remaining before a too many men on the field penalty infraction by the Bills allowed for a re-kick. Either way, Wilson looked in vintage form, extending plays and escaping up his legs when necessary. His first touchdown came on a scramble drill via a circus catch by Cortland Sutton on the sideline of the end zone. The surging Broncos have ripped off 3 consecutive wins, 2 of which came against the Chiefs and the Bills, and now look to make a push at a playoff spot over the final couple of months of the season. Up next for Wilson and the Broncos is the home matchup against the Vikings team that has won 5 consecutive games of their own in Week 11. Devontae Adams rushed 21 times for 79 yards, adding 31 yards and a touchdown on 4 receptions. Williams proved to be the main cog of the offense against a stout Buffalo front, seeing 25 or more running back opportunities for the second straight game. It appears as if the training wheels are completely off for Williams after starting the season in a strict timeshare due to his ACL tear early in the 2022 season. Cortland Sutton caught 8 of 11 targets for 53 yards and a touchdown, and Sutton was Russell Wilson's top target from the jump, catching 2 balls in the first quarter before making that circus grab for the touchdown. He would break loose of his defender in the end zone on a scramble drill, and from Wilson managing to get his plant foot just inside the white line and dragging his foot off for the score. Sutton now has 7 touchdowns through 9 games played, but he's yet to notch a multi-score game. So for the Broncos here, well, as I said at the top of the opening, it was an ugly game, and ultimately whoever won this game was the team that's going to capitalize on the opportunity to win the game, and Denver did just that. They got lucky at the end though, being able to get an opportunity to re-kick, but like I said, they capitalized and they win. And for Russell Wilson, this is pretty close to a vintage performance for him, a reminder of him from his days in Seattle. And don't look now, but the Broncos are on a bit of a hot streak. They have turned things around. They are playing better football. They're not a great team, but they're not really a bad team either. So they're somewhere right in the middle, still trying to figure things out. They're not quite above 500, but they have been putting together some wins. So I think it's possible that they could finish above 500. Maybe not make the playoffs, but at the very least turn this into a positive season. Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen completed 15 of 26 passes for 177 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, added 13 yards and a touchdown on 4 carries while also losing a fumble. So the Bills turned the ball over on the first 2 possessions of the game. The first via James Cook on the first play of the scrimmage, but the second an ill-timed interception by Allen near the red zone. Allen did lose a fumble and a handoff exchange to Cook in the second half. Even with the turnovers and poor drive success rate on offense, the Bills snatched away a 1-point lead with 2 minutes remaining in the game, but allowed Russell Wilson and the Broncos to go down the field for a game-winning field goal as time expired. The Bills now sit at 5-5 on the season, the worst record they've had through 10 games since Allen's rookie season. They are now also 2 games out of the playoff picture with just 7 games remaining, and hold the league's third hardest remaining strength of schedule. Up next for Allen and the Bills are the Jets at home in Week 11. James Cook rushed 12 times for 109 yards, added 11 yards on 2 receptions. And Cook lost a fumble in the first play from scrimmage and took a backseat to backfield mate Latavius Murray for the rest of the first quarter. He would return as the featured back in the fourth quarter, notably ripping off a 42-yard scamper on the team's final possession to set up a 6-yard rushing score from Josh Allen to give the Bills their first lead with 2 minutes remaining to play. Even so, Murray's now been more involved for 2 straight weeks, potentially signaling the end of Cook's unquestioned laid-back status in Buffalo. Stephon Diggs got 3 of 5 targets for 34 yards, and Diggs was locked up with standout cornerback Patrick Surtain, shaking free for a meager 5 targets on the evening. The target and yardage totals were both season lows. Diggs will look to get back on track in another difficult matchup against the Jets, albeit in the matchup he's not expected to encounter shadow coverage from Sauce Gardner. So for the Bills in this game, I think the big theme here was mistakes. Just unable to overcome those mistakes, whether it was fumbles or whether it was interceptions or penalties. Either way, Bills kind of had this game, and then they ended up kind of giving it away. Just not a complete team effort on football. Like, they got some positive momentum on the ground, but kind of struggled to capitalize on it. And then Josh Allen too. The interceptions are a problem for him this year. He's up to 11, I think, after this game. So yeah, the Bills are gonna go as far as Allen takes them. And right now, Allen's not playing like a quarterback that's gonna take his team to the postseason. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.